Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
Gentlemen, welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. So, walk through our Thursday to get everything situated and almost on time, not quite, but kind of got there. I don't know, we're about 15 minutes late, like always. So, remember, what is that? Look, I just looked up and I'm like, wait, hold on. That is not what we're supposed to have up there. They keep getting us. We just had a bunch of updates, so let's make sure that y'all got this. Boom. Why is it blue? We're gonna take care of that in just a second. Boom. We're gonna get that done. That apparently it is there. There we go. Almost. Almost. It's supposed to be kind of like a goldish brown. We did a massive update and everything changed on us, and we're just like, what? What? So again, I want to thank you guys for coming. Oh, there it is. That's the color we're looking for. Now we're back to where we started. and then we got to throw a headline up there. So you got to see that one too. Thank you guys for coming to the show. And today we're actually going to be talking about the difference between playing the victim and taking the steps that it needs to be taken in order for you to start winning at your life. Which kind of plays off of one of the topics that we had yesterday afternoon. So we're gonna kind of like bounce back and forth between yesterday's topic and today's topic, not the polling topic, the subtopic that started like 75% into the show. Uh, we have some information for you guys. We're going to be giving it to you tomorrow to let you know that which stocks we're going to be investing in for next week. So I'm going to be giving you detailed information on that. Tuesday, we're going to be giving you the dividend rotation strategy for December and January, and then Monday we're going to have a different topic up there, a completely different topic. We're gonna be figuring out what's going on in the world and see how things are changing in uh, our trades and abilities to make money for us, especially since Donald Trump has drawn back on some of the tariffs in some of the places. We're going to be seeing what's going on there so we can see how that improves our money. Now, the other thing we have is different countries around the world that we invested on Wednesday. So we're going to be taking care of that as well. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up. But Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, nevertheless, are always the ones that are going to be providing you with self improvement information, relationship topics, and stuff to that effect, so that you will be able to improve yourself and improve your own decision making skills. And then Sundays is our questions and comments from the fans. Now, I find it odd, and I kind of understand it happens from time to time because we have people that pop into the show that are good fans. Then we have those that like to troll. And when I say that, the oddball questions and comments typically are reserved for kind of like Sunday. And then like topic based questions and information is reserved for the day of the show. Some people come in and we completely segue into something else uh, because this and that we talk about this, that, and everything in between. But we try our best to regain control of the straw man topics and redirect ourselves back to the primary topic. So we ask that you guys kind of pay attention to the topic at hand and try to keep your questions and your comments reasonably appropriate, as well as in tune with the topic of the day. While you're watching us, those of you that are watching us from Twitter, those of you that are watching us from Twitch, you guys can hit that follow button and the like button over there, showing support for us on those sides. And you guys are free to comment. You guys can click the links in the comment section, approve the mic, approve the camera, and it'll bring you on in real time. Otherwise, you guys can just comment in your comment sections and it will be seen here. We will see them pop up over here on the 16 by 9 version, and then the comments that I'm addressing is going to be seen over here in the 16 by 9 section. For those of you that are watching me in the 9 by 16 area, your comment section is right here for the 9 by 16 area, and the comments that I'm addressing is going to be across the top. Now, this is going to be an issue because when I give you guys information that is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, like the stock options that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday, you're going to have the stock options at the bottom on the 16 by 9 and the stock options at the top on the 9 by 16. So I'm going to have to remind you guys about that, but that's the way things are going because we have YouTube Shorts, we have YouTube Longs, we have Twitter and Twitch. So we're streaming in 4 different locations right now. And after TikTok is sold to the United States, we might be streaming on 5. So we gotta work on our TikTok side of things because I think you got to get something close to like 1,000 subscribers, and we had something close to that, but we kind of dropped off. So I'm pretty sure that when we transition over, that we're not going to have the 1,000 followers that we're supposed to have. We might surprise ourselves and have like a 1,300 or something like that. But we stopped messing with the TikTok platform when the government shut down. Well, first we stopped messing with the TikTok platform because it wouldn't let us post, and then after we got out of a dark mode, then they we started posting, and then the government shut down TikTok. And when they shut down TikTok, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to spend a dime on this, and we're just going to let it do what it do. So that's where we were with that. So now that they're supposedly selling it or doing away with it altogether in March, um, once it has shown proof that it will still exist in the United States without the requirement of VPNs and other such, that's when we will start investing effort into broadcasting from um, TikTok. And in that scenario, we will also be trying to work towards getting trying to get the stream key so that we can stream from TikTok as well. So we're gonna be expanding our horizons on all fronts. So make sure that you guys stay tuned to that. Now, note we are live 7 nights a week, and we do not let the sun rise without going live. So, and we do not go live on time because we're supposed to start at the top of the hour, which should have been 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, about 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, but we started about 15 minutes after the hour. So if you like and subscribe, and then you also hit the notification buttons, we typically have 4 to 7 days worth of shows up there that you can hit the notification button on, and it will notify you from the YouTube platform, push notifications on your phone that the show is live. Then you can join the show from Twitter, Twitch, or wherever you're coming from, and still be able to enjoy the show. Since we have different topics every week, we have different information. We come from different angles. You guys will get something new every time you come. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work for me to curate all of this information. So it is good for you guys to be able to come and enjoy it. And then any late breaking news that I have, I typically give it to you guys within the first 15 minutes of the show. And that late breaking news is not always in the edited version of the show. So I always encourage you guys to try to be here as soon as the show tees off. So if I got something that you guys need to hear, you guys can come and get it, and then we'll be able to talk about it. Matter of fact, I was just thinking because Bitcoin was well over 100 grand and now it's starting to dip below 100 grand. I figured now it's a good time for me to start trying to cover Bitcoin. So probably 2 weeks from now on Wednesday, I'll be able to give you guys, not Wednesday, Tuesday, I'll be giving you guys a rundown on the rises and falls of Bitcoin since Trump got into office and it made its record highs at 115,000, and cryptocurrency discussions in addition to that, which just so you know, when I start talking about technology, cryptocurrencies, anything to that effect, Twitter is going to be like all over the place. So just want you guys to know, certain platforms are interested in certain stuff. So we'll keep you guys up to speed on these things as we move forward. But as it pertains to today's topic, you know, I got a question for you. Have you ever known someone whose life seems to be a constant series of crises? Because I know I have. Uh, the person who, no matter what good things happen, always manages to be the most unfortunate soul in the room, right? You offer them solutions, but they've got an excuse for every one of them. You try to help, but you're the one who ends up feeling drained, guilty, and somehow responsible for their problem. You feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells and trying to manage their emotions while yours get shoved to the side. Now, if this sounds painfully familiar, you're likely dealing with someone more than just a pessimistic friend, because I mean, expect the worst and hope for the best and take whatever happens in between. It's a good philosophy to stand by. And expecting the worst, you're probably going to project uh, the worst case scenario in your communications with individuals, while thinking to yourself, I hope it doesn't get that bad, right? But it might not be that type of person, because an optimistic person always aims high, and the overly optimistic person finds themselves in a error of disappointment because they expect things to go a certain way and it won't. So that's where the situation turns out to be. Now, uh, since this what we're talking about right now is not actually just a simple pessimistic friend, we have to understand that you might be the target of one of the most subtle and damaging forms of manipulation, which is weaponized hopelessness. And I got to tell you, I've experienced this once before. I had a neighbor who would never follow instructions, who would never try to learn, who would never try to do better, and then wallow in the pity of not getting stuff done. And in the beginning, I would proactively, because I don't want to see other people suffer, and I would try to help. And then I would try to provide solutions, and then I would try to do things to make things better. And then they would literally shut it all down. And it gets frustrating. You're not able to resolve the problem, even though you could have. And the person is still whining and complaining about what's not happening and how it's not going the way they want it to go, which is not good for you because you're stressed out about their problem. It's not even your problem. What is everything the one thing at same time? Uh, I don't know because I don't know what everything is. I don't know what the one thing is, and I'm not sure what's at the same time. I think you were typing fast and your cell phone wasn't keeping up. I can't even decipher that into a different code. Is everything the one thing at same time? Just based off of that question, no. Um, everything cannot be one thing, and one thing cannot be everything at the same time. So I appreciate Carlos Cruz with the nifty riddle. Now, to be clear, when we're dealing with this chaos, this isn't about people who have genuinely fallen on hard times and need support. This is about those for whom victimhood isn't a temporary state, it's a full time strategy. It's a tool that they use to command attention, dodge responsibility, and control everyone around them. And for them, helplessness is a form of power, a type of passive aggression designed to get what they want without ever having to ask for it. And you'll see that. Somebody's in a desperate situation where they quote unquote need money, and they tell everybody how much they need without ever asking for it. And then people will see them in need, and then they'll try to help by giving them what they need. So you never ask anybody for anything, but you end up getting it from them anyway. Weird, huh? In tonight's show, we're going to unmask the professional victim, and we're going to break down the seven core tactics they use to turn their supposed powerlessness into a weapon. Um, we'll explore the dark psychological um, areas behind this behavior, and we're going to, most importantly, give you the tools and the exact phrases you need to neutralize these tactics and get your own emotional well being back on track. So, as we move into that, let's go ahead and get things started. Um, on a side note, when your questions start making sense directly related to the topic, Carlos, then I'll address them. But as it stands right now, one step away. Okay. Now, first tactic we're going to discuss the blame game amplifier. Now, the first and most foundational tactic is what I call this blame game amplifier. And this goes way beyond just avoiding responsibility. Most people might say, I was late because of traffic, but a professional victim turns this into an art form. They build an elaborate story where they were the innocent target of a grand conspiracy of misfortune. It's not just that traffic was bad, it's that the universe itself has a personal vendetta against them. And this traffic jam was just the latest proof. They don't just blame people, they blame systems, circumstances, their past, Anything and everything that isn't them. Blame it on the devil. Anything. And this is a classic sign of what psychologists call an external locus of control. The core belief that your life is controlled by outside forces, not by your own choices, but in the hands of a manipulator. It's not just a belief, it's a performance. They describe events with a sense of cosmic injustice that makes you feel their suffering is uniquely profound. And you'll hear phrases like, of course, this would have only happened to me, or I can never catch a break, or why am I always the one who suffers? These tactics does two things. First, it makes them completely unaccountable for the situation that they're in. By painting themselves as a powerless pawn, they're off the hook for their own actions or inactions. If they miss a deadline, it wasn't because they procrastinated, it was because their coworker was a distraction, their computer was slow, and a dog barking 3 blocks away kept them up all night. Now, this story is always complicated and it's always clear to remove them from any blame. The story is going to be formulated in a way where uh, they're not at fault for what they're doing or what they didn't do. Okay, no, Carlos, it has nothing to do with the topic. So you're asking, let's look at this real quick. He's asking how much say so does humans have in reality, and that's not related to this topic because this topic is completely different from whether or not you have a say in your own life. This is a topic about you deliberately blaming sources that are not you for your failures in life instead of taking first person accountability and taking responsibility for your life. Your question about how much say so do humans have in their reality, if that's an unrealistic question. Um, but in all reality, to humor you this one time, 100% of your life, you have a say in it. And 85% of your life is about people who have more authority over your life than you do. When you are the only authority in the area that controls the scenario, you control the scenario. But say, for example, if you're out on the street, you decide which direction you go until a police officer redirects you. You're out on the street. The police officer's not there, but guess what? A construction worker can redirect you for your own safety. Um, the mayor can shut down the street. A judge can enforce curfews that prevent you from walking on that street at a certain time of night. Situations that are beyond your control are completely above your level of authority. Where if you don't follow that authority, you could experience consequences. That is when someone that has more control over your situation than you do um, runs your reality. But truth be told, though, in line of your capabilities of following laws and following the rules and following detours, because when you drive down the street in traffic and there's construction and they have the detour sign, the route that you want to take, you can't take because it's under construction. You go around that route, but you choose to go around that route because the other choice you have is to go back the other way, go back the way you came. So while you still have choices, your choices are limited to the options that are made available to you, but you have the primary consequences that you're going to experience, and then we're going to have the most responsibility in making that right choice. And then you asked me about Murphy's law. I'm not talking about Murphy's law, and that's why I told you that your questions are off topic. because we're completely in line with uh how you doing Impala from Twitch. He said, "Yeah, buddy." So we are talking about how we're going to get in here and improve the difference between experiencing somebody who is making the situation all about them, they're always the victim, or if you recognize that you've done this before yourself, how can you make these improvements and how can you make these changes? Because all of us have been in a situation where we've been manipulated, whether it was by a parent, whether it was by a girlfriend, whether it was by the kids. There's always a situation where woe is me scenarios happen, and that is when we try to, in our good faith and our good heart of hearts, try to get in there and proactively help those individuals with whatever problem that they're going through. And while we're trying to help them, that is actually them making us aware of the situation was manipulating us into doing it for them so that they didn't have to do it. Like for example, when elderly people pretend like they don't know how to use their email, they don't know how to look stuff up on Google or Chat GTP or something. They don't know how to turn on their TV. When you're not there, they're able to change channels and put on the soaps and watch whatever they want to watch and listen to music on their cell phones and everything to that effect. But when you're there, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. You know how to do it. You just don't. You don't want to do it. You want me to do it for you so that you can feel valued by me because I'm putting in all of this effort to get it done for you. But that is a backhanded manipulative tactic where individuals are proactively doing things that will compel you to operate the way they want you to operate, not the way you should operate in that situation. Does that make sense? Now, the second thing that happens from this, and this is where it gets very manipulative, it positions you as their potential savior in whatever catastrophe that they're going through. Like, for example, I had a friend of mine just tell me yesterday that her boyfriend crashed his car, and now he's taking her car to work, and now she has to walk her daughter quarter mile down the street to the bus stop because he don't got a car. I told her, sweetheart, his ass would have been walking to work. Fuck that. Get him a little tricycle with a little bell on it. Put him in a suit like that little man off of Scream, and have him ride a little bicycle to work. And have him think about this because he shouldn't have crashed his fucking vehicle. But why does mom have to walk with little girl to the bus stop when she should be sitting in the car? Especially we getting into wintertime. It's getting cold outside. And they should be sitting in the car in the heat, waiting on the bus to pull up so that she can get out of the car and walk the car to the bus stop. And then, love this, she's out there with her daughter at the bus stop, and somebody tried to attack him. She almost shot him. Had the car been with her instead of with the person who crashed his vehicle, that would not have happened to them because she put herself in a compromising position because he screwed up. Instead of letting him deal with it, these are the things that lead us to being the saving grace of somebody else's problem, but their problem becomes our problem. Does that make sense? However, their constant stream of complaints creates a problem that you yourself, a very caring person, feel an obligation to solve because in order for them to stop complaining, you got to fix some of their problems. They don't ask for help directly. Instead, they present a world so hostile that your empathy kicks in as a natural instinct and you feel a duty to step in and fix it for them. I got a few real world examples. Imagine a friend who's always broke. You suggest they make a budget, but they say, "What's the use? My rent is too high. My boss underpays me." You suggest look for a new job, and they counter that. The job market is awful, and nobody would hire me anyway. You suggest a side hustle, and they reply, "I'm just too exhausted from all the stress." Every solution is met with a bigger problem. The goal isn't to solve the problem, it's to get your sympathy and maybe even a loan from you or like a donation from you, because a lot of times when your friends do this, they don't give you the money back. And this of course is the type of loan that becomes a permanent gift. And it's going to become a permanent gift because right after you give it to them, something new is going to come up, an unpredictable disaster. Weirdly enough, before they pay you back. But when you're not looking to be paid back, they have extra money to have fun with. I actually had a buddy of mine, and this is before I learned don't give friends money, loan it to them under contract with interest, and you can loan it under contract with interest with no expiration date. But the interest will continuously accrue on whatever date that y'all agreed upon every month for every year until they've paid you back in full. Now, any loan that goes unpaid for over 10 years is something that you can't go and recoup on in a courtroom. However, if you were to let it linger for 4 or 5 years with interest, they're responsible for giving it to you. Look, Michael said, "Glad it's your problem, not mine." Exactly. Exactly. That's how I feel these days. It's like shit, that ain't my problem. But the thing is that with uh I had a buddy of mine, I had gave him something for something, and then he was talking to me about going to Fort Lauderdale to go visit family. Hey, wait, hold on. How the fuck you got time and money to take days off from work to go hang out in Fort Lauderdale, which is going to cost you money? You're going to have to get you a hotel out there. And while you're out there spending money, hanging out with family, you still owe me money. Now, fuck that. You got to pay me first. You pay me first or you can't go. I was that serious. And he paid me first. He paid me first. But my friend know me, I would have repossessed his vehicle. I would have look now. He would have went outside, that motherfucker would have been gone. He's like, where's my car? Where's my money? Shit. But how do you neutralize this though? How do you neutralize this type of behavior? To neutralize the blame game amplifier, you have to stop playing along with it, just like Michael did. Your empathy is the fuel for their fire. So you have to learn to use it differently. First, acknowledge the emotions, not the narrative. Instead of validating their story of injustice, you validate the feeling behind it. Don't say, wow, it's terrible that everything is against you. Instead, say something like, it sounds like you're feeling really frustrated right now. See what I'm saying? It keeps you out of it by doing that. Or, I can hear how overwhelmed you are. You're not addressing the circumstances. You're addressing his feelings behind the circumstances, which prevents you from being involved in how to resolve the circumstances. It's going to show that you care without co signing their skewed version of reality. Second, hand responsibility back to them with a question. After acknowledging their emotions, ask a forward looking question that puts the ball back in their court. Phrases like, that doesn't sound difficult. What are you thinking of doing about it? Not what can I do to help? Or you can try, given all that, what's your plan? Not let me see what I can do to help. Take yourself out of their responsibility. This questions will gently shift the focus from complaining or leaving an open door for you to step in and fix the problem to them taking action, specifically them taking action. They might try to deflect again, but you can just calmly repeat the question. Third, refuse to take the blame because these manipulators are experts at making their problems your fault. They might say, well, if you had helped me with my resume last week, maybe I'd have a new job by now. Don't apologize. Never say I'm sorry for something that you did not do wrong. Don't get defensive either. Just set a calm, non negotiable expectation for behavior. And a great response to this is going to be my schedule was packed, but I'm confident that you have what it takes to handle it. Or more directly, I'm not responsible for that, but I'm happy to hear what you decide to do. In either situation, you're not taking the fall for what they did or didn't do. Michael says, I don't want to hear about it. And yes, I don't care. Fix it or shut up. But see, he's 71 years old. Yeah. When you get that old, you tired of the bullshit. When you young, when you 18 to 24, when you 15 to 19, you're easily manipulatable. Oh, my heart aches for your pain. Let me help you. You didn't help enough motherfuckers. You get to a point where fuck you. I'm out. Like Michael said, I'm not gonna fix your problem. You could, and then even those people who came through here yesterday with their religious spiels, you're supposed to give out of generosity. You're not supposed to give out of duty. You're supposed to give out of the kindness of your heart with no strings attached, no expectations, and a smile on your face. If you're stressed out, there's no smile there. If you're frustrated, there's no smile there. You are only supposed to give when it makes you happy to give, not when you feel compelled to give, not when you're heavily encouraged to give, not when you are peer pressured to give. Oh, everybody else gave it this motherfucker. Now I got to get it this motherfucker too. No, that's not. That's not when you're giving for the sake of giving. That's when you're being forced to give. You know those commercials that we used to see on TV. 25 cents a day will feed this starving child in the middle of South Africa somewhere, and they were still starving, but somebody was making a bunch of money off that shit. If somebody could eat for 25 cents a day, people wouldn't be homeless in America. So, how you doing, Dylan? Good to see you, man. He late. So I just try to figure out like what is up with the dynamic when people throw that out there. But I actually did do a calculation and I did come to turnabout that it would take approximately $10 a month from every person in the United States to give to the same source whose delivery was to improve homelessness. And it would effectively not just reduce, but over time eliminate the homeless population. Because if everybody, we got 385 million people in America, which means that that would be about $3.8 million a year. And with $3.8 million a year, if that person was developing apartment complexes for the homeless, where they would build complexes where they would have 18 months of free rent before they would have to start paying rent. And in that 18 months, you'd help them find jobs, get their IDs back together, and other such things. Then those individuals would be able to be reincorporated into society. If they have a contract of performance lease where their residency is exclusive to their cooperation with the program, just like a halfway house or a psych ward or something like that, their residency is limited to their cooperation with the program. And if they don't cooperate with the program, they can be removed from the program, which removes them from the property. Because you're putting them in there for 18 months rent free, and then you're putting them into a payment option where they will be able to start paying rent for that place that you put them in. It gives them the ability to save up their money, and then after they've saved up their money, they will have more than enough money to pay the bills, and then start working towards financial stability because they know what they're getting themselves into, and having a stable place to be gives them a place to put their stuff. which prevents them from having to continuously throw stuff away or get stuff stolen from them. It prevents them from having to live from place to place, and that would be the dynamic of self improvement. Because one of the hardest things about being homeless is that you don't have a place to put your stuff. You don't have a way to wash your clothes all the time, and you don't have a way to get honest money without begging. But that was just a dynamic. However, while there's so many programs and platforms out there to relocate homeless people, the quantity of money that they spend on shuffling homeless people around in the country, the statistics, you could actually fix the homeless problem in every city and every state in the country if you put the money towards a solution instead of just dismissing the problem and sweeping it out of the city. Michael says you'll never get rid of homelessness. Uh, it would be nice though. Well, technically, because we're in a capitalist country and our goal is to make money off the backs of everyone else, our goal is not to carry others on our backs. Based on that model, yeah, you're right. We would not ever get rid of homelessness, but those individuals who did put forth effort to reduce and eliminate the homeless problem, those individuals would be, because there are grants for that, especially through the real estate programs, would be able to develop more properties for at-risk people and aid those people in getting off the streets and aid high-risk families from ending up on the streets in the first place, which is funded by the government grants. And you could turn a joint venture between a nonprofit and a for-profit. You could own both of them, and you could turn significant profits off of helping other people, as long as somebody's paying you to do it. Because board members of a nonprofit can get 5% of the money that's being spread around, uh, which means that if they got a $5 million thing, they would be getting 5% of every $1 million that they get. That's like uh, what, $25,000? That's or no, $250,000 is 5%. 5% of 5 million, so $250,000. And $250,000 spread across a 10-man board, everybody gets $25,000. Dylan says, I hear a lot of seniors are at risk of homelessness. You are right. And Saturday, we're going to be covering that. We're going to be covering a lot of that on Saturday. Uh, so this segues into later this week's show. But when we're dealing with, because today's topic, we're dealing with playing the victim card, and then victim blaming, and then trying to be a little bit more responsible with their own decisions, and then being responsible about not getting involved in other people's bullshit. That's another thing that we're going to be talking about today. Dylan says, I think we need a branch of government called the work corps. If you fall on hard times, you sign a 4-year work contract and work on infrastructure. I think that that is a fantastic idea, Dylan. But I really believe that what they need to do is change the current work core system that the government has. And if you're familiar with this, please let me know. The current workforce system is that if you fall on hard times, they put you in jail, put you on probation, and then have you do a work release program where you work for pennies on the dollar or for nothing at all in infrastructure for, you know, 2.5 to 5 years. And you also have to pay a probation officer to watch you do it, potentially take random drug tests, and do Alcoholics Anonymous courses, even though you don't need them, anger management classes, even though you don't need them. And then uh, after it's all said and done, you might be able to get back to a normal life. That's the infrastructure they got right now. Is, oh yeah, accountability is tough in this day and age. See, so many people that don't want responsibility. You see how they act online, right? The true self of an individual is so reckless because nobody is held responsible for what they say and do online. You are not going to reach through the phone and slap the taste out their mouth. So they will get rough on you on the phone. You have to woosah and you have to stop because you'll get pissed off to high heaven. Michael says, Zilla, I'm just one medical bill away from homelessness. Shoot. The people who were furloughed were just 2 weeks more before they were homeless. Probation is a son of a bitch. It makes God money. I hear you. The government will get your money. Exactly, sir. Woo-sa. Now, the key is to detach from the blame story and firmly but kindly put the responsibility right back where it belongs with the person doing all the complaining. The second tactic is a direct follow up to the first tactic because we're going through 7 tactics today. And it's one of the most frustrating manipulative loops to get stuck in. It's called that yes, but gauntlet. And this is where the professional victims ask you for advice, then systematically shoot down every single solution you offer. It's a game they can't lose, designed to prove that their problems are uniquely unsolvable. There's absolutely no way for us to get through it, right? It is impossible. We've done everything that we can do without ever trying to do anything at all. Here's how it works. They present a problem. You, trying to be a good faith friend, offer a practical suggestion. Their response almost always starts with, yes, but, or, I tried that, but, followed by a reason why your great idea won't work for them. It worked for everybody else, but not them. You offer another idea, they hit you with another, yeah, but, and you offer a third and a fourth. And with each attempt, you can feel your energy draining. You get more and more frustrated while they become more and more validated in their belief. See, nothing works for me. My situation is hopeless, right? This isn't a search for a solution, it's a trap. The goal of the yes but gauntlet is twofold. Um, Dylan says, sounds like when they ask where you want to eat. Oh, it's the same trap when women ask men, ladies, this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective. So, I mean, while I prefer for you to like and subscribe, if any of this hits you the wrong way, the shoe fits, the only thing I can ask you to do is wear it. But this is true to life. When a man asks a woman what she wants to eat, and a woman says, I don't know, pick something. And then the man picks something. And then she shoots down everything he picks. If you knew what you did not want to eat, then you are only left with what you're willing to eat. So tell me what it is that you're willing to eat so that I can pick where we're going to go out of the places that you're willing to eat. But when they do that, they want you to pick what they like to eat so that they can say that we're in sync and we agree and da 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 da. You didn't agree. You were getting them what they wanted. If you like eating at Chick-fil-A and I like eating at Wendy's, you will shoot down every restaurant that I pick because you want to go to Chick-fil-A, but you don't want to say it. Again, the manipulative yeah, but content. Then you turn around and complain about how you didn't get anything to eat. Me, I'm not that guy. Here comes Michael. He said, I don't give them advice. That's right. I'm not going to ask you what you want. Are you hungry? Yes or no? I am spin the block. If I look at you and ask you, what do you want? I don't know. Good. You are an anonymous vote. I am going to get Chinese food. We're going to find the nearest China Walk and get us some boneless spare ribs. If you don't want anything from there, that's fine. There's food at the house. I'm not good. I'm not going to pick 3 choices. If you don't want where I'm about to go, you better say something before we pass your restaurant because I'm not going back. First person accountability, non negotiable expectations for behavior. Dylan says, I mean to say, you think it wouldn't be a big deal to choose where to eat, but it turns into psychological warfare. I'm just done with that bullshit. Look, I'm on that same position. Psychology is what we're about to get into because psychologically it's going to reinforce their identity as a victim. I'm so hungry and I don't know what to eat and I'm starving to death because I can't pick anything. The same as I can't pay my bills, but I don't want to go find me a job and I don't want to I have to go dance on the pole where they're punching me in the face and trying to take advantage of me in the VIP room instead of getting a real job. By proving that even the most logical ideas are useless, they prove to themselves and to you that their suffering is a special situation, like finding a Mewtwo on Pokemon. It's not that common. uh, Michael says, I just say I had a dream about where we're going to dinner, and what do you think? And she'll say the restaurant name, and I agree with her, and she she feels like she wins. Oh, but again, that's psychological manipulation. Socially, it's a sneaky way to keep the spotlight on them. As long as you're in the gauntlet, desperately trying to find that one magic answer, their problem stays as a center of attention in the conversation. Instead of us moving on and talking about life, instead of us improving things, forward thinking behavior, we're stuck in a rut dealing with something that can't be dealt with because nobody wants to do anything about it. You're doing all the work though, and they're just leaning back, rejecting your effort, and making you feel like a failure for not being able to fix them and their problem. Think about a coworker who is always overwhelmed. You suggest they delegate a task. They're going to tell you, yeah, but my manager wants me to handle it personally. You suggest using an app to get organized. I tried that, but I don't have time to learn new systems. You suggest that they talk to their manager about their workload. Yeah, but she'll just think I'm incompetent. After a few rounds of that, you give up, you're exhausted, and an hour later, you see them sign dramatically at their desk, making sure everyone knows about their silent struggle. They don't want a solution, they want an audience. So how you neutralize it? Escape the yes but gauntlet. And this means that you have to stop playing the role of a fixer. Stop being Captain Savo. You have to shift from being a solution provider to everyone in earshot of your location and switch to a supportive but detached observer. Observer. Okay? First, limit your suggestions if you're going to even give any. A simple rule of thumb, offer one, maybe two ideas. If they're both met with a yes but, then stop. Offering more is just volunteering to run through their obstacle course. See the pattern for what it is, a refusal to be helped. Michael says, you ever thought about a new job? You're fired. Exactly. Look, I had a friend of mine, I was telling them they did not want to pay the rent that the landlord told them to pay. They would always just give, quote unquote, what they had. And with interest piling up, they did not pay the overages. After about a year and a half of that, they owed 2 months worth of rent fully. On the third month of that, they were evicted. They were kicked out because you did not pay the whole amount. They were not going to credit you any of the amount, and you did not resolve the bill in full, and it stayed negative for about 15 months. And then the one time that you were 2 months behind on that third month, you out. Wild crazy that was. My costume for Halloween when I was driving for Lyft. I was able. Oh, he said thinking about a new job. You're fired. I don't understand. Okay, so Dylan, your workload is too much. You sighing because you need help, but you don't want to delegate. You're not getting the task done on time. Uh, if you haven't thought about a new job, even as your supervisor, I would help you out with that because I will fire your ass. You don't gotta stress about this job no more because you don't have this job no more. A year and a half, yes, sir. A year and a half. Yeah, they signed the contract. They made it seem like, oh, the landlord's out to get me. No, the landlord didn't give two shits about you. The landlord was out to get your money from that contract that you signed. Oh, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it sucks. Try get thrown out on your ass, and then you be sitting out there on your doorstep for 3 weeks with nowhere to go, sleeping on the sidewalk because they took you and all your shit and put on the side of you paid your motherfucking rent. You wouldn't have been outdoors. Now the second thing here is you want to put the onus back on them. When they shoot down your idea, turn right back to them with a calm, open-ended question. A powerful phrase is, it sounds like you've already put a lot of thought into this. What do you think you might do? You know what I'm saying? Why am I finding all the solutions to this? This ain't even my problem. What are you going to do about your problem? Another great one is, since my ideas seem to not fit your situation, what solutions are you considering for your problem? This forces them out of the passive role of a critic and into the active role of a problem solver. And they probably won't have an answer. And that silence tells you everything. It reveals the goal was never to find a solution at all. Dylan says, I've been homeless before for a hot minute. So I always try to plan ahead. It is straight up savage on the streets. It is true. It is true. I'm still trying to get 2,900 for X renters. You better leverage their vehicle. You better garnish they start repossessing shit. But look, what once you've been on the bottom end of rock bottom, you start trying to put everything you can into not going back to that. You start putting extra money away in places that you have immediate access to. You start paying bills a half a year in advance. You start pre-planning for next year's bullshit. Like if you work for the government and you know that every year, once or twice a year, that there's going to be a shutdown of some sort where you're going to be unemployed for a while, you're not even going to worry about vacation pay. You're just going to know that this month I'm probably not going to have to go to work. In that situation, you've already paid all of your essentials through the proposed shutdown. And you know that it's going to get worse every year. Back in the day, it used to be 15, 20 days. Then it started hitting 35 days. This time it's 45 days. You should be paying your bills 90 days in advance. So if you do go through a shutdown, your groceries should, the majority of the groceries in your house should be non-perishable items, canned goods, rice and beans, stuff that can sit on the shelf for half a year without going bad. Fill your house up with that shit the same way you would fill your house up in a situation where you were snowed in. Then when it does happen, the first thing you do is you eat the stuff that's not going to last long, meats and dairies and everything to that effect, and then you fall back on fucking ramen noodles and MREs and all this other stuff, but you still good until until they start paying you again because you got plenty of food to last you. If you live from check to check and you only got enough groceries to last you till your next paycheck, That's why you at the food bank. If you would have had more groceries in your house than you could eat, if you had two fridges in your house, one for now and one for emergencies, and you stacked up when emergencies happen, you ain't worrying about nothing. You can be eating steak and lobster during the shutdown because you had too much food in your house in the first place. Dylan said, "Gosh, I really wish I find a roommate. I don't want to rent my whole house." Well, it's not that hard to find a roommate. It's just hard to deal with them bastards once you get them in your house. I need to ask AI how to do it. Gemini 3 just came out. Well, you can do Airbnb, but that's tough to do because that's gonna have random people coming in and out of your house. You can put listings on Craigslist looking for a roommate. You can um, there are some rentyourapartment.com places that you can go to online and rent your place out to locals who are looking for a place to stay. Or instead of you just putting your place up to stay, you can do a search like Craigslist or other such places where people are looking for a place to rent in your area, and you can scan their application request, see what they're willing to offer, what price range they're in, what situation they got going on, and then you offer your place as a solution to their problem instead of just having random people calling you, "Hey, is your place still available?" Instead, when you feel good enough to contact folks, "Hey, are you still looking for a place to stay? I might have a solution for you." See what I'm saying? That's right, top ramen. Top ramen and toilet paper. You shouldn't really have to worry about top ramen and toilet paper. You got a washer and dryer, don't you? If you got a washer and dryer in your house, you got top ramen and hand towels. And then you take them hand towels after you wipe your butt, you put them in your washing machine with your dirty laundry and you wash them and recycle the way we did with the satchels with the baby in the manger and all that. Y'all remember them reusable diapers? Not the disposable one. We've been doing disposable for so long, but Michael, you from the 70s. You remember them reusable diapers? The baby make a mess in it, you throw it away, you take the diaper, you wash it, you put it back on the baby. You had like 7 or 8 of them bad boys. That way you take one off, put it in the laundry to be washed, and put a clean one on. So the baby always got a clean one on, but you always got 2 or 3 of them in the wash. And you used to hang them out on a clothesline and sun dry them. Dylan buy a home, rent out your apartment. Ramen is good. You use Budget almost no toilet paper. Woo! Very subtle. Yeah, that's what you don't want a million people calling because they sure the fuck will. They will people will torment you as long as your listing is up there. Yeah, the cloth diapers. That's right. They used to have linen services for baby diapers. Yeah, you used to be able to take stuff like that um to the dry cleaners. Invest in Depends. That's a good stock to get into because adult diapers as well as feminine products are highly profitable these days. So if you was to invest in that stock, you would definitely. That's one thing that's not going under with the government shutdown. Women are going to need their feminine products. If you invest in that, they might not got no food, but that time of the month definitely got some essentials. Now, the third uh thing that you're going to do here is you want to state your exit from the game when these people are giving you this yes but situation. It is perfectly okay to end the cycle directly and compassionately. You want to say things like, "I've shared my best ideas and it seems like none of them are quite right, so I really hope that you find something that works for you." That's it. I did the best I could with coming up with ideas. So, you know, if you figure something out, let me know. I greatly appreciate, you let me know. This isn't rude. It's a clear, non-negotiable expectation for behavior. You're showing that you're willing to help if possible, but you're not willing to participate in a pointless exercise of cause with no effect. Um, it respects their autonomy to solve their own problem or not while protecting your energy. Now, the third tactic that we come across with people that play the victim is the guilt trip gravitational pull. And this third tactic is maybe the most emotionally powerful weapon in their arsenal because the guilt trip gravitational pull is the art of making you feel endlessly responsible for their happiness, like massive planets that they are unhappy and it is a constant pull, right? So when you think about this, any attempt that you make to create your own orbit, to have your own needs or happiness met, is matched with a force that tries to suck you right back in to their planet of unhappiness. And this isn't about angry accusations. It is way more subtle, which makes it more damaging. It's the heavy sighs when you mention you have other plans. It's the self-deprecating joke designed to make you rush with praise. It's passive aggressive comments that frames your success as a source of their pain. Like, oh, it must be so nice to go on vacation. I haven't had a day off in years. The message under it is always the same. Your happiness, your independence, your non negotiable expectations hurt them, right? Dylan says, I think a lot of men are willing to see common ground, but hard when they start arguing and continue on about pointless topics. Doing the heavy sigh is rough. You know, the heavy sigh hurts you listening to it. The comment about investing in depends, Michael. I thought it was wild, but he's right. We talk about stocks on a regular basis, stocks, bonds, mutualities. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin in a few weeks because Bitcoin went down from over 100 grand. But yeah, it's a good investment. So while he slid it right in there during the perfect time because we were talking about the reusable diapers, it is a bit wild, but you're right, factual. Um, the diaper company, the diaper industry doesn't just do baby diapers, they do adult diapers. Some of them segue into feminine products like pads and tampons. And anybody who needs to have bodily fluids captured without staining their clothes is going to need a product something to that magnitude from infancy to elderly. And while men can get away with some of that stuff, feminine issues are going to require feminine products even when there's no budget for it. So we got to go get it. Got to go get it in surplus. That's part of the pink tax. So when you think about that, yeah, that's a pretty good market to invest in. Need to invest a farm to table diaper straight for cotton farm from the farm to the table, from the table to the baby's butt. That's strictly organic diaper farming. That's a good product. That's a good. That's a good product. Now, professional victims use guilt like a leash. They expertly position themselves as so fragile and easily wounded that you start to feel like you have to walk on eggshells. So you begin second guessing your own choices, wondering if I do this for myself, will it upset them? Over time, you start sacrificing your own needs to avoid setting them off. You skip the weekend trip because you know they'll make you feel bad for leaving them alone. Or if they don't live with you, you'll leave and not tell them about the trip so that they don't make you feel bad about going. You don't celebrate your promotions too loudly because it will be met with a sad comparison to their stalled careers. and you are effectively being held emotionally hostage in these type of situations. Oh, but they don't have edible diapers, but they do have edible underwear, typically for the women. Now, me myself, I have a problem with those because, as kinky as some people are with the edible underpants, there's like dribble that happens. And as a result, I don't understand why people are like, oh yeah, edible. Nah, that's just too much for me. Now, I mean, not an edible bra, maybe, because the worst that'll happen there is milk, but edible underpants, not okay with that. I only watch the mini features. It's barely up from the steep dip. Yeah. Well, when you think about from Bitcoin, that steep dip from 100 and I think 150,000 all the way down to 90,000, that was a very huge dip. He said exactly the chocolate name diaper. Now, a classic example of what I was referring to a moment ago is a family member who uses loneliness as a tool. So you call them and you say to them in a sad tone, or they will tell you in a sad tone, I was just sitting here staring at the walls and I haven't spoken to a soul all day. It's not a direct accusation, but it's heavy with guilt though. And it makes you feel like your call is just a single drop of water in their vast desert of suffering and that you're a bad person for not doing more. If you try to end the call, they might say, oh, okay, I'll let you go. I know how busy you are. A phrase perfectly crafted to make you feel selfish for having your own life. Me, I'm like, thank you. He said I eat at the Y. Michael, first of all, only the Catholic Church is supposed to be doing that. Secondly, you better leave the little boys alone. Now, how do you neutralize these guilt trips? Because I know a lot of us have experienced guilt trips from our parents, and a lot of us fellas, we've experienced guilt trips from our girlfriends and our wives. We experience guilt trips from our girlfriends before they become wives because the first guilt trip that you get from your girlfriend that every husband can remember is I won't make you a sandwich until you put a ring on this finger. Why do I gotta do your laundry if I don't have a ring on this finger? Why do you get to go hang out with the homies when I don't have a ring on this finger? Think about it. Think about it. Then after you get married, you be sitting over here wondering, why are you not doing wife material now that you got the ring on your finger? Because what you married is what you had before you married it. Now, how to neutralize the guilt trip? Hold on a second. You'll say, yeah, parents are tough ones. Uh, one of my parents is on their third wife, and I try to tell them, but they are the unstable one. No, no, if they're on their third wife, they can have a third wife. My concern is, do I have to get to know this one since it is clearly temporary? And as disrespectful as it sounds, the third wife would walk up and I would introduce her as number three. I'm not even gonna validate her with a name. And nigga home. Be nice, call her by her name. No, no. Because if I call her by her name, she might decide to stay, like giving a cat milk or feeding a stray dog. That's number three. And I'm waiting on number four, like Sesame Street. You know what I mean? So when you're neutralizing the guilt trip, this means that you have to develop an immunity to emotional blackmail. This is something that takes time. So you're not going to be aware of how to get used to emotional blackmail in the beginning stages of being emotionally blackmailed, but after you've been manipulated and mistreated for so long, you start seeing the signs that you're being manipulated and mistreated, and you start recognizing the emotional blackmail. And that's when you start thinking about how do you get over this. And once you think about this emotional blackmail, you have to learn that you yourself must separate their feelings from your responsibility, because how they feel is not you. You standing in the middle of a room and somebody busts out cries, it is not your responsibility to give them a hug. Fuck they tears. They don't want, I don't want to mess up my satin suit. You understand? I did this one is not tear resistant. Sodium stains. Cry over there. You go to a funeral, everybody crying. Not on me. I'm too pretty for that. Go cry over there. People gonna say, "Oh, you're heartless." Right, right. Because I am the one that's got to pay for the dry cleaning bill to get your snot out of my suit after you finish crying on my outfit. No, Dylan says maybe I could figure out uh, to not care about the blackmail so much. I do feel used, and it has been 4 years since I was with them. Well, you're gonna end up being blackmailed by them, and but when you recognize that they're blackmailing you, you're gonna be in a situation where you're gonna care a whole lot less. Because the first thing you're gonna do is you're not gonna apologize about your non-negotiable expectations for behavior. You have a broke friend that's broke, they broke. Oh, here, let me give you some money. No, that's okay. They broke. They come and tell you that they broke. You acknowledge the fact that they broke. If you had a conversation with them 6 years ago about what they could do to get them a job, you ain't talking about it today. They tell you that they broke. They broke. I'm acknowledging the fact that you ain't got shit. They hungry. They hungry. I recognize that you're hungry. I am not going to feed you. Maybe if you stay hungry long enough, you'll go get you a fucking job. As this how it is. You know that when your friend is always me on a regular basis, you stop coming around, and your friend be like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." Yeah, because every time I come over, you're bitching about bullshit that I can't fix for you. I don't want to hear it, so I stop coming until you resolve the problem. Then when I come back, we can talk about something other than the problem that you let linger, like the world. What was it? Young and the Restless. As the world turns, it's just a long-standing soap opera. It took them 20 years to get through 1 year's life. Special shout out to Max the Poser, who has changed his name to Number One Poser. Um, so first thing we're going to do is we're not going to apologize about our non-negotiable expectations for behavior. When they try to make you feel guilty for having a life, you first have to recognize that your instinct might be to say that you're sorry. I keep telling you to not apologize for the things that you didn't do wrong. So don't apologize for it. Max Proposer says, should I donate? You go ahead, give as much as you would like. Most partners are just not honest. So sad. Special shout out to Zadie Alona. Yes, yes. There are not very many people that are truly honest about what's going on. And then they're woe is me because they don't know how to resolve the situation because they honestly don't know how to resolve the situation. But the problem is that not only are they not able to resolve the situation, they don't have the courage to tell you what the hell the problem is. So they're frustrated, they're pissed off, they're sad, and you can't fix the problem. Ladies, worst thing in the world when your man come and ask you, is everything okay or what's wrong? You tell them I'm fine and it's nothing. Respectfully, don't do that. If you got a fucking problem, say it. Say it. Doesn't matter how much it hurts the other person to hear it. Get your issues off your chest. When the question comes out, do you have a problem? What is your major malfunction? You are supposed to, through all of them tears, tell them what the hell is going on with you. Because that's the only way that they're going to fix it. Because men are not mind readers, men are not psychic. We don't just know. Men are inconsiderate and women are selfish. We didn't think about that. You didn't care about that. Big difference. Exactly. See what he's saying? Michael's saying, sorry to hear that. What you going to do? I am not sorry to hear that. I don't give two shits about hearing it. I heard it, and yeah, that sucks. So what are you going to do about it? I am not going to give you an I'm sorry. I'm not. You know, even when I tell the ladies on the show, like you're not gonna like what I have to say, but this is a male driven podcast from a male's perspective. I'm not gonna apologize for it. So you can like and subscribe, learn something. If this resonates with you and it upsets you because you've done it before, then stop doing it, improve it. Or if the shoe fits, wear it. Like the same time, when individuals come and tell me, oh, well, I don't do that. Right. But you know, one of your homegirls have. In that scenario, you yourself may not have performed that task, but you've seen it before in your network. And because you've seen it before, you know how to address it now. Oh, we're talking about victims self victimizing. And then we're talking about the difference between that victim blaming and then the manipulative tactics of individuals who play the victim in situations where they really could have fixed the situation themselves. Exactly, Michael. Communicate. When we apologize, apologizing is just validating their claim that you did something wrong. And a lot of us are immediately defensive. For example, when we tell a story, we make a comment and we comment on, say, you know, somebody's mom, somebody's dad, somebody's sister, somebody's brother. And it's not necessarily a negative comment. It's a comment like, what would your mom think? Or how would your brother feel about that? And they would come back with, oh, they're dead. And you're supposed to say, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Sorry for what? You didn't do shit. Had they been alive, what the hell would they have thought about it? Like, you want to know. You didn't do anything wrong. What are you apologizing for? It's not your fault that that person is dead. So what are you apologizing for? People instinctively apologize because they instinctively feel guilty for the way somebody else feels when you had no impact on that feeling. So if somebody comes and tells you it must be nice to be so busy, instead of saying, I am so sorry, I've just been swamped, try a calm and cheerful. It has been a full week. How have you been? You see what I'm saying? Don't take the bait. Your life isn't an attack on them. Second, use the I statements to assert your needs. When you set non negotiable expectations for behavior, you want to frame it around your own needs, not their behavior. Instead of you always make me feel guilty, say, I need to take some time for myself this weekend to recharge. Uh, this is an undeniable statement, right? It's about your own well being, not about them. If they hit back with a guilt trip, like, oh, so you're just going to leave me alone, you can hold your ground kindly but firmly and reply to them. My need to recharge is not about you, it's about me taking care of myself. Now I'll give you a call on Monday. Or you could respond short and sharply with, yes, I am leaving and I will be back on Monday. You know, we're going to have chips in our head real soon, Dylan. The worst person in bed is me. Communicate, and I'm the best. Woo. Now, the third thing you want to do is you want to recognize what they get out of this because understand that the person using guilt is trying to get a payoff, usually attention or sympathy or some level of control. So when you refuse to pay up with guilt, the tactic stops working. They're pulling a lever, expecting a predictable result. And when you don't provide it, the machine breaks. It will feel uncomfortable at first because you're so used to trying to make other people feel better as a people pleaser. But holding your ground is the only way to break the cycle. You are not responsible for managing another adult's emotions. Tactic four that a lot of us will experience, and we're about halfway through now. So make sure that y'all like and subscribe and join the membership as y'all come through. Bro, I would tell them just that. Take responsibility for your own actions. Don't take responsibilities for others. So I didn't do this shit. You're in this by yourself, Sonny. I showed up to see what you was going through. I didn't put you in this. So my first two ideas didn't work for you. There ain't gonna be a third. Call me when you fix the problem. Number four, I hate this one. It is the crisis currency. And this fourth tactic keeps you in a constant state of high alert and exhaustion. This use of crisis currency is where the professional victim either manufactures or dramatically exaggerates emergencies to monopolize your time and attention. And I had this happen to me before. Um, I had a relative. They had an accident. I had another relative that made it seem like everything was going south for them. And the woe is me situation was that, oh, my college is negatively impacted, this, that, and the third. I don't have enough to pay the thing. And then I went over to visit for myself. I was doing something, and while I was in town, I decided to stop by. We had lunch. Then, when they started telling me what was going on in their life, then I started asking questions. So, what's going on with your education thing? How you handling that? What's going on with your college thing? How you handling that? Never did I ever say I will loan you some money or I will give you some money or I'll help you pay for your financial problem because that's what we do when they usually, oh, woe is me, because this is the same person that when I have casual conversation with, they done went to Puerto Rico, Mexico, 13 different states in America. They're on their way to Chicago. Well, if you stop wasting money traveling, you have plenty of money to pay for the thing you're trying to do for your college. I ain't went nowhere. What the hell am I paying for you to travel the world for? And that's some of the things that people don't pay attention to. So for them, a normal Tuesday doesn't get the attention that they crave. So they create a world of nonstop drama. And this situation happened. So when I heard it, then when I went and talked to the one that had the accident, it wasn't nothing. He got a bandage, went only, I think he missed like a day or two from work and went right back to work. The one that made it seem like the world was in it was like, oh man, leg is broke off and oh, he's gonna be in a wheelchair and he can't work no more and I don't know how I'm gonna pay for stuff. And I'm just well, that sucks because everything's rolling smooth on this side of the phone. All the bills is paid for quite a few months in advance. If we got extra money, we invest in stocks and shit. We're expanding the real estate development over here. We're doing fantastic on this side. So it sucks that what you're going through. I was really cold with it because I wasn't about to say, "Oh, let me help you with your chaos." Their life is never just going to be okay. It's always on the verge of collapse. And you're always cast as the first responder. Special shout out to Lucas. How you doing? This tactic works because a crisis demands immediate attention. It triumphs everything else. You might have your own plans, your own problems, and other things that you wanted to accomplish, but the second they declare an emergency, all of that gets pushed aside. Their crisis becomes your priority. These emergencies are often vague but emotionally loaded. It's not a specific solvable problem like my car broke down. It's an emotional firestorm. Like, I don't think I can take it anymore. Or a series of frantic late night texts that imply disaster without any real details. I had a buddy telling me about a code that he needed, a tax code. And I'm like, a tax code for what? I'll tell you later. Fuck you mean you'll tell me later? You tell me now. Oh, I was trying to do something on this website and I don't know the code. What website are you on? I'll tell you later. See, when he told me later, the first thing I did was curse him out. No, you should have told me this shit yesterday when I asked you about it. Because when I first asked you about it, you could have explained to me exactly what you were trying to accomplish, and I could have just told you push the third button and you're good. But you've got me on emotional standby, thinking that this is more serious than what it really is. And the truth is that you could have wrapped that shit up. I don't know if you renee, but it's been a while. I don't know Renee Lucas, but I appreciate it. He said, "Did I get blocked? I'll donate if you unban me, bro. If I'm reading it, how did you get blocked? Did you have an alt up there? You can't see the comment. That's your fault that you can't see the comment. You said hey, I said hey, and then everything else that you said after that was not part of the conversation. Now, since you can see yourself, but who fault is that? Since you can see yourself, you said here, y'all seen it. I'll donate if you unban me. So now that you can see yourself up there, boom. Should you donate? Yes, you should, because now you're able to see your comments on the comment section. I'm over here talking about something important, and you want to be seen. See, remember what I remember, guys. We're having this exact same discussion today. How's life been, man? It's been a minute. Yes, it has. And at this time of night, you should be in bed. You got school in the morning. I'm gonna go tell Joe. We're gonna talk about we going out for drinks and catch up sometime, bro. Ain't no you who stole at midnight for your ninth grade need to be in bed so that you can pass your exams Friday morning behind. What is you talking about? I appreciate you coming through the show. You go to Colorado, you can go wherever you gonna go, but I can't go with you because that's trafficking, young man. I can't do it. You can have as many straights as you want. Put 50 down on the tank. What your allowance is like 30. Put 30 down on the tank. Throw up the big 30 bill. See, now that's the kind of stuff that's gonna make you end up on the banned list. Now, the goal of crisis currency is to keep the professional victim at the center of your universe. It is a powerful way to control your focus, as we're experiencing right now. It's a powerful way to control your focus. So when you're constantly putting out their fires, you have no energy left for your own life. It also creates a powerful, if unhealthy, bond between you and them because it develops what is called a trauma bond. The cycle of crisis and rescue can be addictive for both you and for them. They get into crises, you come and rescue them, like Spider-Man and Mary Jane, or Superman and Lois Lane, or uh Rocky and Adrian. You feel the need from them, and it helps you because feeling needed is gives you purpose, and they get the undivided attention that they want and so desperately feel like they can't live it out. But it's a relationship built on chaos, not genuine connection. Over time, you start to feel like their personal predicament is your primary concern. Like you're their personal paramedic. You're always on call, and your own life just becomes a series of interruptions in the chaos that they've got going on. And this is a hallmark of codependent relationships. where one person's identity gets tangled up in saving the other. Think of a friend who has a new life altering disaster every week. One week, they're convinced their boss is about to fire them, and you spend hours on the phone talking them down. The next week, they believe a minor headache is a terminal illness, and you find yourself researching their symptoms. The week after that, they have a dramatic falling where a fallout actually with another friend and need you to play the mediator. But the boss isn't going to fire them. The headache is just a headache, and the falling out is a minor spat. They frame every event as a five-alarm fire because crisis is the currency they use to buy your attention. Now, how are you going to neutralize this? Not that easy, but you have to learn to tell the difference between a real crisis and a performance. You have to become a calm dispatcher, not a frantic first responder. So, first, you want to pause before you react. So, when you get the frantic text or call, you recognize that your adrenaline will spike. They're counting on that. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath, give yourself a moment to pause and think about the situation. A real emergency usually comes with specific, actionable information. We were in a crash, so and so got hurt. They're going to X, Y, and Z hospital. You need to come here now. There was a fire. Nobody got hurt, but we need a ride to a hotel until they can fix the apartment. You need to come get us now. There's been a flat. We don't have a spare. We can't drive the car. You need to call us a tow now. An emergency usually comes with specific, actionable information. I don't have a ride. I don't have any money for Uber. You need to come and get me from this location now. These are emergencies. And when you think about a manufactured scenario, this one is often emotionally chaotic, but light on facts. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do about yesterday. That's all you get. Oh man, this sucks. Everything's going to crap. But that's all you get. You don't get any other information. What is the problem? There isn't one. So the second thing you have to think about here is ask clarifying questions, no emotional questions, to cut through the drama. And asking calm, practical questions is the best way to go about handling this. So instead of, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Open ended question, which just fuels the frenzy. You want to ask things like, what specifically happened? What have you already tried? And what support do you need from me right now that you can't do for yourself? Now, these questions cut through the fog and force the person to be specific. Often the crisis deflates under the gentle pressure of logic, and they might not even have answers, which tells you they wanted an emotional reaction, not a practical solution, which allows you to decide whether or not you're going to entertain that bullshit or you're going to be like, all right, well, call me when there is something I can do. And then you remove yourself from the situation. Third, offering support, not solutions. So you're not their designated fixer. So instead of jumping in your car or canceling your plans and rushing over there to save them from whatever chaos that they're going through, offer a different kind of support. You can say, hey, that sounds incredibly stressful. I understand that you're going through that. It sucks. Some people want to throw an I'm sorry in there. I don't really feel comfortable with telling people that I'm sorry for things that I didn't do wrong, right? But this will validate their feelings without taking ownership of their problems. You can also point them to the right resources. It sounds like This might be something for a professional. Get you a therapist. Have you thought about talking to so and so down the street or the financial advisor about your financial troubles or a life coach, right? And it shows that you care, but you also recognize the problem is beyond what a friend should be expected to solve. This is above my pay grade. And when you use that terminology, you understand that friends don't pay friends to be friends. While you can use that as a job, friends don't pay friends to be friends. And as a reality of that, since you don't pay me for this, it is not my job to solve it for you. Think about that. And we're about to get into the final three tactics. And these are some of the most subtle. So if you're finding this information valuable and it's helping you connect some of the dots, take a second. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscription button, hit the like button, mash those reaction buttons. Share this with somebody that you know that can use this. Because this channel is all about giving you guys the tools to understand the dark psychology and build healthier relationships and financial success. And your support helps us make the content just like this even more accessible to even more individuals. Notice Max came in, disrupted the comment section, tempted us with a contribution to the channel, and never gave one. Master manipulators at work. Yeah, it's a young buck, 13, 14 years old, not getting enough attention from somewhere else, comes and gets it from here. Because at 1 o'clock in the morning, what is he doing on YouTube? It is past every kid's, but Adult Swim turns off at 1 o'clock in the morning. Think about it. So let's dive into some tactics. The fifth tactic is going to be the moral high ground of suffering. And this one is one of the most intellectual and emotional manipulative tactics. It's when they take a moral high ground of suffering where the professional victim subtly frames their own pain not just as a burden, but as a source of moral superiority. They operate from the unspoken belief that those who have suffered more are inherently wiser, deeper, and better than those who've had an easy life. And this tactic is so insidious because it's hard to argue with. How can you challenge someone's suffering? You can't. And they use this to their advantage. It creates a dynamic where their opinions carry more weight and their judgments are beyond question. They apply their victimhoods, gives them a unique insight into the true nature of life, an insight that you and your relative comfort could never have had. Phrases like you just wouldn't understand, or when you've been through what I have, you see things differently. These are designed to shut down conversations and dismiss your perspective altogether. This behavior is linked to a concept that researchers call the tendency for interpersonal victimhood, or TIV, which includes a strong sense of moral elitism. People with this trait often believe their suffering elevates them above others. It becomes a twisted kind of status symbol. They aren't just victims, they're martyrs. And this martyrdom gives them the right to judge everyone else. They might criticize your trivial problems, your naive optimism, or your shallow goals. Your joy can even be framed as an insult to their pain. Imagine a group of friends talking about the future. One person shares their excitement about a new business idea. The professional victim in the group might sigh and say it's nice, that some people have the energy to dream. For the rest of us, just getting through the day is a victory. That comment instantly poisons the mood. It reframes the entrepreneur's ambition as some kind of naive privilege and elevates their own struggle as a more authentic, morally superior experience. The entrepreneur is made to feel shallow, and the victim has successfully dragged the group's focus back to their own individual hardship. How do you neutralize this? Well, you have to refuse to accept the premise that suffering equals superiority. You have to hold on to the validity of your own experiences. So, first, don't concede the moral high ground. When someone uses their suffering to dismiss your point of view, don't just nod and agree because how many generations are we going to be in where people are going to scream slavery and use it as a reason to be assholes in the street? Doesn't matter which side of the whip you were on, or more effectively, which side of the whip your ancestors were on, because you never went through that hardship. Your ancestors went through that hardship. When someone is using their suffering to dismiss your point of view, you don't just agree with them. You don't have to be confrontational, though. Nevertheless, you don't have to back down either. If they say you won't understand, simply neutral responses are more effective. You're right. I don't know your exact experience. However, here's how I see it. This acknowledges that their reality is their reality without devaluing your own. We had a discussion with somebody on the show once before where back when Donald Trump was selling his gold Confederate shoes, they made it seem like um, the historical struggles from the South didn't exist because that individual grew up in the North. And I explained to him that the way things were in the 40s in North United States was not the same as South United States. What happened in Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama did not happen in North Carolina and Wisconsin, not to the same magnitude. So dismissing somebody's history just because you personally don't recall living that kind of lifestyle doesn't mean it didn't exist, and it does not provide any level of value to your history to dismiss somebody else's history. So recognizing, yeah, this country has two different histories: the history from the North before they took over the South, and the history of the South before they were conquered. And we have to respect that both of them exist, and one of them really, really sucks. So the second thing we have to remember, validate their experience without invalidating your own. You can show empathy for their pain while still holding space for your own reality. For example, if they belittle you and say, your small problem, your issue is a small problem, then you can say, well, I know what you're dealing with is on a totally different scale. I understand that. But you're not agreeing with them that your issue is smaller than theirs, that your issue is less important than theirs, that their issue holds more weight in this discussion. It is just weighted differently, you know. At the same time, you want to continue. At the same time, this is what's on my plate, and it's a real challenge for me. This is another way of saying I see your mountain, but my hill is still real too. And your mountain to you might actually be a lump on dirt for me. My hill for me might be a skyscraper for you. Your tolerance for bullshit might not be my tolerance for bullshit. Your tolerance for chaos might not be my tolerance for chaos. I might have been through way more chaotic things than I have ever felt comfortable to admit. And your chaos might be the most chaotic thing you've ever been through. But anybody who's lived in Chicago over the past 12 months would know that they have been through some very, very, very complicated stuff. And anybody who ain't living in Chicago can't quite put a pin on it, even though they can watch it on social media. Even if you come out of Afghanistan or Egypt or some kind of war zone in Ukraine, the difference between somebody being in the middle of a conflict with another country and somebody being in the middle of a conflict with their own country is two different things. You cannot, if till you've experienced it, you cannot clearly understand what it's like, but you know that it is definitely not peaceful. And then you think about your day, where the hardest part of your day is somebody cut you off at the gas pump, somebody parked behind your car, somebody put a shopping cart up against your vehicle at the grocery store, somebody took the last bag of Doritos out the chip aisle. You know, the hardest part of your day is that you gotta wait in line, and the person at the beginning of the line didn't bring enough change, and now they're trying to figure out what they're gonna take back. You got to really think. Your hard day might not be as bad as somebody else's hard day, but it's still hard to you. Now, the third thing we want to do is we want to disengage from the suffering competition because we're not trying to one up each other with a pity party. Professional victims often want to pull you into a who has it worse game. Refuse to play that. If they constantly comparing their struggles to your success, don't defend your happiness or minimize your joy to make them feel better. Fuck, if I got a new Bentley and you crash your car and now you catching the bus, I am not going to offer to give you rides until you get a replacement car. If your car is gone, it is gone. If I'm driving a Bentley, I got to go to the gas station to put gas in my car. So we both got a problem today. At the end of the day, my success is my success and your success is your success. And I will celebrate your success even if you don't celebrate mine. But I'm not about to belittle my success for you. They start complaining about how they got to catch the bus and the bus is always packed at this time of day. And you're sitting on top of the hood of your Bentley because you wasn't planning on going nowhere right now. Oh yeah, well shit, the bus is about to come. You might want to hurry up and get over there before you miss it and got to wait another hour to get to the next bus. At the end of the day, you are not falling into the woe waste me trap. Just change the subject or leave the conversation. You can say something like, I hear that things are tough for you right now. And I'm going to shift gears for a bit and talk about something lighter. You can do that. Or you can just simply, oh, how about those bucks? Man, the weather's sucky outside today, isn't it? Go inside and grab a beer. You are under no obligation to dim your light just because they refuse to see any of their own. Recognizing the fact that they have light, but instead of them enjoying the positive sides of their life, because there are things inside of your life that you can control and things that you can't. The things that you can control, you put changes towards, and the things that you can't, you navigate around. The things that you can't control, it is not my responsibility to try to find solutions for things you can't control. So once we recognize you can't control that, let's get off of that. Let's start talking about some stuff that we can control. Now, the sixth tactic, we got two tactics left. This one and one more. The proxy battle. I was about to say priority. This proxy battle is a masterful indirect move that pulls you into fights that have nothing to do with you, ladies. Y'all be dragging us into some stuff that we ain't supposed to be involved in. It happens when a professional victim complains to you about a third party, casting you as their trusted ally and ultimately their unwilling soldier in this fight. They don't want to confront the other person they have the problem with directly. So they use you as a sounding board and hopefully as a weapon to resolve their conflict. And this tactic is a form of triangulation, a very classic manipulation technique where a third person is pulled into a two-person conflict to shift the dynamic. And we've had this situation like you're two people are having beef with somebody and one will come and the third person walks up, oh, tell Jim that I said, and then Jim will say, well, tell Eric that I said. And you're standing there like, well, y'all can hear each other. Why don't y'all just talk to one another? That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. The professional victim comes to you with a story of how they've been wronged by a coworker, another friend, or a family member, and they will paint themselves as the innocent party and the other person as the villain. They aren't looking for objective advice. They're not trying to find solutions. They're not trying to resolve this issue. They are looking for you to agree with them and, on a deeper level, for you to adapt their anger and fight the battle for them with the other person. Now, the goal here is twofold because first, it lets them avoid the direct conflict, and conflict avoided people are going to do this, which they're often afraid of. They fear the conflict. They can vent their anger and feel justified without taking any personal risk for themselves. Second, it isolates the other party because by getting you on their side, they start building a coalition against their perceived enemy, often by spreading a negative story. Now you become an unwitting pawn in their game. And you might find your own relationship with the other person getting strained, all based on a one sided story that you've been fed. Let's say your colleague, Jane, constantly complains to you about another colleague, Mark. Jane tells you that Mark is lazy, takes credit for her work, and is trying to sabotage her. She spends hours at your desk recounting every minor offense. She wants your sympathy and she wants you to agree that Mark is a terrible person. Before you know it, you start looking at Mark with suspicion. You become cold towards him. You've been recruited into Jane's army without even signing up. Jane never confronts Mark directly. She doesn't need to. She's outsourced her conflict to you. Now you are treating Mark like shit on her behalf. This is how we interact with one another, people. And to neutralize the proxy battle, you have to refuse to be triangulated. You have to stay neutral and force the responsibility for the conflict back onto the person who actually owns it. So, first, listen neutrally without taking sides. When they start complaining about someone else, listen, but stay neutral. If they tell you that you have to pick sides here, well, I am not picking sides. That is an extra side because I am going to remain the not even a referee, a spectator. That is the side I'm taking a stance on. I am the spectator. And as a spectator, I can leave this fight before it starts. Avoid saying things that validate their story like that's awful or I can't believe he did that. And by far, do not co-sign on the bullshit by adding your own comments in there to further validate their complaint. Because what will happen there is that they will take what you said and they will go to the other person and tell the other person what you said. And now that person's pissed off at you because you didn't co sign on the first person situation. And now you're in the middle of this triangle of chaos. Instead, use non committal but empathetic sounds uh, and create some gentle phrases like, that sounds like a difficult situation, or I can see why you'd be upset. I understand or recognize that you are going through something serious to you. Now, this lets them feel heard without you enlisting in their war. Second, redirect them to the source. The most powerful tool against triangulation is to push for direct communication. After they've vented, ask a simple question. Have you talked to Mark about this? Or what did he say when you told him how you felt? The answer will almost always be no. They haven't talked to Mark. They have not brought it up at all. They don't want to cause a conflict. This question gently points out that they're complaining to the wrong person. And you can follow up with it sounds like a conversation between you two is the only way this is going to get resolved. And I encourage you to have that conversation. The third thing you want to do is explicitly refuse to be the go between. If they push you to intervene or take their side, you have to set a firm, non negotiable expectation for behavior and tell them, I am not comfortable getting in the middle of a conflict between two people that I care about. And this is something you need to sort out with them directly. Or, more simply, I am going to stay out of this. This is not a betrayal, it's an act of integrity. You're refusing to be a pawn in their game. Now, the seventh one is the unspoken contract. And this final and most deeply embedded tactic is the creation of unspoken contracts. This isn't one single action, but the result of all the other tactics combined. It's the slow, steady creation of a relationship dynamic where their helplessness is a given, and your role as their permanent caretaker is an unspoken, unbreakable rule. You don't sign this contract, you're slowly conscripted into it through a thousand small acts of blame shifting, guilt tripping, and crisis management. This unspoken contract defines the relationship. The terms are they are not expected to be fully functional, responsible, or resilient. You, on the other hand, are expected to be their emotional support system, their problem solver, and their safety net. This creates a deeper codependent relationship where their identity is the one who needs help, and your identity becomes the one who provides the help. Any attempts by you to change these terms by setting up any non negotiable expectations for behavior, focusing on your own needs, or expecting them to be more self reliant is a action or behavior that is treated as a breach of this contract. And they'll react with shock, hurt, and accusations that you're being selfish or that you have changed. Well, of course I've changed because I am not your fucking babysitter. They don't want an equal partner. They want an enabler for their dysfunction. This dynamic can feel strangely comfortable at first, especially for natural helpers or fixers, those people pleasers. If you feel good to be needed, you're going to enjoy this in the beginning. But over time, the weight of this one sided contract becomes crushing. You feel drained, you feel resentful, and you feel trapped. You realize you are in a relationship not with a person, but with a black hole of needs. The relationship isn't about mutual growth, it's about maintaining their state of helplessness at your benefit or at their benefit of you, so to speak. So consider a long term friendship where one friend has always been the mess and the other has always been the responsible one. The responsible friend is always there to pick up the pieces, offer a place to stay, lend money, and provide a shoulder to cry on. And sometimes we have a relationship where we kind of look out for one another. It's a back and forth action, but it is only when one of you are in distress and the other one comes to aid. You're still building a codependent behavior of chaos rescue. You're just taking turns versus who's going to be in chaos and who's going to be the rescuer. The dynamic is so old in your relationship that it is normal. Then one day, the more responsible friend has a crisis and can't be there to perform the rescue for the less responsible friend. The mess friend doesn't respond with empathy. They respond with panic and anger. How could you not be there for me? I needed you. They don't see a friend in pain. They see a service provider who has suddenly gone offline. The unspoken contract has been violated, and their reaction reveals the true nature of the deal. Now, how you're going to neutralize this unspoken contract is recognizing this is the hardest step because it means you have to fundamentally rewrite the rules of the entire relationship, whether it's been 5 years, 20 years, however long y'all have been around each other. You have to rewrite the entire relationship. If this is your family members, you have to rewrite the entire relationship of your entire life relationship because the first thing you have to do is make the contract explicit. You want to make the contract explicit. Its power lies in it being unspoken. To dismantle it, you have to bring it into the light. This means having a difficult, honest conversation. Use I statements to describe the dynamic of how it affects you. For example, I've noticed our dynamic has become one where I am often in a caretaking role and it's starting to take a toll on my well being, and I can't sustain this anymore. Second, systemically break the rules. A conversation isn't enough. You have to follow it with action. Faith without works is dead. Stop over functioning. Stop rushing in to solve their problem. Let them face the natural consequences of their choices. Matter of fact, if you've got a friend that always calls you with crisis when you're trying to sleep, turn your phone off. Let them leave a message on a voicemail. Get back to them tomorrow after you have decanted from your day. Oh, I missed your call yesterday. What happened? They're going to tell you or not. They hit you with the, oh, never mind. Then it wasn't important enough for you to call me last night. Do me a favor. And unless it is an emergency, give me the opportunity to sleep. I go to bed at X, Y, and Z time. Let's not call me at that time for non emergencies. Building autonomy. Now, I tell a lot of my friends and family the exact same thing. Because when I define an emergency, I define it differently than most Americans. My definition of an emergency is your internal organs outside of your body. That's an emergency. Your internal bones outside of your body. The blood flowing through your veins, now profusely expelling outside of your body. I identify these as emergencies. If all of your organs are inside of your body, all of your bones are inside of your body, and you are not excreting blood out of your body, whatever you are going through is not an emergency. It's a problem, but it's not an emergency. You will not die from what you are going through. It is not an emergency. Because if it was, you'd be in an operating room where it would not be that much of an emergency for me to get there and wait in the lobby until they tell me that they're done. They can call me and tell me that they're done before I leave. Some people are going to say you're heartless for that. Let's be real. If you rushed out there every time they called you, you're the one getting the traffic ticket for their emergency. Now, some people might say, oh, well, going to jail, that's an emergency. Going to jail is not an emergency. That's an extreme inconvenience. It is an extreme inconvenience because if they're bringing you to the police station where with verifiable witnesses, they will let you go without processing you in the system, that might be closer. to an emergency, but you can really just call a police station and say, hey, I can verify his whereabouts. Give me some time to get there. They'll wait. But if you are already on the bus to get booked, my guy, it is 8 hours to get in there and 12 hours to get out. If you went there today and I beat you to the station, I am not getting you out until daylight. So there is no reason for me to rush. It is better for me to have them call me when they let you out so that I can come and get you, which means you still gonna wait 30 minutes at the front door till I get there. It is not an emergency. But if you were in there because you did something stupid, you should not be calling me because I'm the one that told you don't do something stupid. So let them face the natural consequences of their choices. And this is going to be incredibly uncomfortable for both of you in the beginning, especially if y'all have a long standing relationship of playing Captain Save a Hole for each other. They will likely escalate their manipulative tactics to pull you back into your old role. And this is known as an extinction burst, where a behavior gets worse before it gets better. You have to stand firm. Thirdly, redefine the relationship or be willing to end it. As you change the rules, the relationship has to change. Some people, when met with a firm, non negotiable expectation for behaviors, they might actually be able to adapt and build a healthier, more equal relationship. But many will not. For a true manipulator, a person who won't enable them is a person who is of no use to them. They will likely just go find a new caretaker. You have to be prepared for the possibility that redefining the relationship might mean ending it. This is a painful, but it is often necessary for your own survival. Ending a codependent, especially an unhealthy codependent relationship, isn't a failure. It's an act of profound self respect. Ideally, getting into a real romantic relationship requires you to have a level of healthy codependency. You depend on her, she depends on him. That's how that works. Y'all look after one another. I do what you don't have time to do. You do what I don't have the time to do. I do what you can't do. You do what I can't do. We do it together. But there is no scenario is that you don't trust. Special shout out to Nemo. I understand. There's no situation where I'm not supposed to do it because you're supposed to do it for me kind of dynamic. That is not a healthy relationship. Special shout out to Jesse. Yeah, what's up, dude? I haven't watched the show in a while. I remember asking you some financial questions, and my financial position has improved. Lots. Woo! It's good to hear that, Jesse. Glad to hear it. I'm making more money at work. That is excellent. I'm glad to hear that, bro. I recommend strongly that you, whenever you have time, go back and watch some of our Tuesday shows because specifically the Tuesday shows give you so much more financial information that you can utilize to help you make, save, and invest money, and then you'll be able to make a lot more money on it. But if you got time, oh shoot, I greatly appreciate that as well. He said, not just finance advice, but life advice. You can take this podcast is solely about providing you guys with the information to fix your personal life as well as your financial life because you make bad decisions in your personal life that cost you money, which forces you to put pressure on your financial life to make extra money to make up for it. You make bad decisions in your financial life, which deprives you from having the capability to have enough money to take care of your personal life, which puts stress in your personal life. They impact one another. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we give you information to help you improve your financial life. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we give you information to help you improve your personal life. And then Sunday, we have questions and comments from everybody that might lead to another topic that we talk about in upcoming weeks. And the design of it is to holistically improve your entire life by changing the things that you can actively control. So I'm really glad that you were able to call and let me know that we were able to help you out with that because being able to spend less money in places that you don't need to spend. It keeps more money in your pocket, and then taking that extra money and being able to invest it in places to make more money gives you more than one facet of income. Because if you're getting money from crypto, if you're getting money from stocks, if you're getting money from bonds and loans and other such areas, you have a second or third income outside of your regular job. Then if you're getting money from your computer, where you're being paid passively while you're working on your job or while you're sleeping, you can find yourself in more ways capable of taking time off from work, which allows you to rest and recover. You're able to find ways to get more solutions to benefit your life in ways where you now are more satisfied with where you are versus where you used to be. So I'm very glad to hear that you have been improving over the year, over the last couple years, and I'm glad to know that you're still able to stop by. Whenever these shows are on replay, so you can go back and watch some of the ones that you've been missing. Find some of the topics that you're most interested in. Go back and take a listen to a lot of them. We got the stock options. We've got investment options. We've got some online um, uh, online jobs, and then start up your own online business videos that we just created over the past month that might help you out. Is that right? Buy less name brand stuff, pay off debts, all the little and incremental stuff helps. It does. It does. Because when you think about how a pack of ramen noodles costs 30 cents and a Hungry Man meal costs $3, you can buy 10 packs of ramen noodles for one Hungry Man meal. That one Hungry Man meal might make you still hungry. Then 10 packs of ramen noodles, you might eat two of them, three out the day. And the difference between what you need versus what you want, the difference between luxury versus necessity, is the difference between a $20,000 standard of living and a $150,000 standard of living. That is true. Like I had bought some pants off of Temu for 40 bucks. I bought I spent $90. I bought three pairs of pants and three pairs of shirts, I think some socks, 50 pack of underwear for $100. Now, some people would have gone to the mall or to a grocery store and spent $100 on one item, one shirt, one pair of pants, $50 on a matching bra and panty set at Victoria's Secrets. But the fact is that you're not trying to get dressed to impress other people. You're trying to get dressed so that you don't get arrested for walking outside naked, and then you want to be comfortable at the same time. The goal is, like Jesse said, you want to proactively pay off your debts to boost your credit score up, which we just covered a credit score topic, I do believe, this past Tuesday. Don't waste money on things that you don't need. Don't take out those micro loans when they do the finance thing with, I think it's called affiliate or a Jari or something like that. It's this app that pops up every time you try to buy something online. Now they take whatever your payment is, if it's over $300, and they break it up into $25 monthly payments over 6 months so that you can buy it now instead of just paying full price for it. And I was just telling you guys on that show that all of those micro loans, in micro installment loans to buy frivolous crap online, is the reason why your credit score is going down, because all of those small loans in a short period of time looks like you're desperate for cash, which makes it harder for you to borrow real money when you really need it because you're not stable financially on that. Reducing your car insurance by talking to your provider or changing providers, paying off your car instead of continuously trading it in and getting another car. Don't finance a new car when you could have bought a car cash up front. Um, turn off all of the subscriptions that you don't need, and then only use the ones that you really do use. Turn off the memberships that you don't use. If you're going to keep it, you're going to use it, and you see how much money you're not spending. Definitely. So I'm glad that Jesse, I'm glad you were able to stop by. That definitely made us that made our week right there. um so while we're talking about how to remove yourself from the victim position and how to remove yourself from being used by the person putting themselves in the victim position. And we were talking about how removing yourself out of this situation is necessary for your own survival. So we have to remember that this declaration that you will no longer set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm is a profound position to be in. So you have to recognize that it is true, it is important for you that you set these non negotiable expectations for behavior. Now, there you have it, the seven secret tactics of the professional victim, from the blame game amplifier and the yes but gauntlet to the guilt trip pull, crisis currency, and moral high ground, the proxy battle, and finally the unspoken contract. When you see them all laid out, it becomes clear that weaponized helplessness isn't about weakness, it's about sophisticated strategies for control. It's so important to remember the difference between someone who is genuinely victimized by life and someone who has adapted a victim mentality as a lifestyle. The first deserves our unconditional compassion. The second requires our compassion, but with firm, healthy, non negotiable expectations for behavior. A person with a victim mindset is often in real pain, but it's a pain they are unwilling to take responsibility for to heal. The goal here isn't to become cynical or to stop helping people altogether. The goal is empowerment, self empowerment. It is about learning to tell the difference between a hand reaching out for help and a hand trying to pull you under. By recognizing these patterns, you can reclaim your power. You can stop being a pawn in someone else's drama and start being the author of your own story. You can offer support that empowers not just you, but it enables you as well. And it does not simply enable the other person. You can protect your own mentality and you can protect your own emotional energy. Your most valuable resource is yourself. The antidote to manipulation is knowledge. He said, you are very level headed and sound for advice. Victims will almost always fall. One of the true things that we understand is that when things go wrong, we don't always know how to handle it the first time. We panic as soon as it goes down. We recognize that in spite of the hard situation, after we take a couple of breaths, we stop, we start thinking, we start trying to figure out how to hide the body. We start trying to figure out how to fix this problem. We start trying to figure out where we're going to get that money from. Individuals who otherwise have a peaceful and non complicated life, who don't know any other way to acquire attention, might find themselves in a position of deliberately putting themselves or allowing themselves to be in a woe is me situation where the people that gravitate around them will put in extra effort to validate that person's existence by trying to fix their problems. The quicker you fix their problem, the quicker you go away. The longer the problem exists, the longer you stay trying to help. So they will put themselves in what is seemingly an impossible problem so that you won't leave them at their own devices. Underliningly, they don't want your attention to leave them, but ultimately they have to manipulate you to stay. Now, some people use these tactics in order to get money and favors from you, because by putting themselves in a financial bind that requires you to come and pay for them to not go under, you sacrifice yourself financially. That's one of those bad personal decisions that you make that cost your professional life, because now you've got to put in extra work on your job. Now you've got to put in extra effort in something that you otherwise could not afford to do because you're trying to keep somebody else from failing. Every time you give money to a friend, every time you lend money to a friend and don't get repaid, you are paying for someone else's standard of living where they are deliberately choosing not to be financially responsible. A person who's behind on their bills, but they're still buying scratch offs, talking about some one day I'll hit. Well, one day your ass be put out those too. So if you don't start putting them scratch offs on your damn rent money, you gonna be out those because I'm not paying your rent. Jesse says if you are a capable adult, you are best equipped to fix your life. And I said this yesterday. Those folks that was over here, we had like so many over the past 3 days that was just die hard Jesus loves you people. And I was like, bro, you cannot put your catastrophe in the hands of the Lord because he made you capable of not only your own willpower, but your own capability to fix your own problem. You are not put in a situation that you cannot get yourself out of. You are in situations that require you to accept consequences, and you want to get out of these situations without the consequence. And that is where you have the biggest dilemma because you don't want to deal with the negative fallout of the bad decisions that you've made, but you don't want to be in this bad position anymore. An addict has to go to rehab. There's no other way around it. A criminal has to go to prison. There's no way around it. A con artist has to turn himself in. There's no way around it. You will forever be chased until you stop running. You will forever be wanted until you have served your time. Some decisions that you make will forever haunt you because you have not served your time on the consequences of that mistake. Just because you buried the body under a bunch of azaleas does not mean when the gardener comes and turns over the crop that they're not going to find the body. And when they do, it is what we call a delayed consequence. You have always been waiting on this day. But now that it's here, you still have to face those consequences. We must deal with reality. Pushing responsibility away does not remove it. Pushing responsibility away does not eliminate the problem, dismissing the problem. Drinking because you've got a problem, smoking weed because you got a problem, doing drugs because you got a problem, partying all night at the clubs because you have a financial problem. Oh, I'm just trying to blow off a little steam. You're making your problem worse because your problem is you don't have enough money. You're taking a little bit of money you got left and you're wasting it on not solving your financial problem, which when you sober up, when you wake up the next day, you have an even bigger problem because now you have less money than what you had before you started wasting money and you still haven't solved your financial problem. You can't keep leaning on friends. You can't keep leaning on family. Some of y'all can't keep leaning on your children to help pay your way through life. You need to get off of yours and start applying effort to your own success. Now that you can name the tactics, you can spot them. And once you can spot them, you are no longer the prisoner of this high level, highly sophisticated, highly complex emotional and psychological manipulation. I know this topic can bring up a lot, and we've all run into these behaviors in our own way or another. And some of us have been in situations where we may have actually performed these behaviors. Now, love to build a community of support right here in the comment section. So if you guys have a question, because I have a question, you put it in the comment section. But my question to you is going to be which of these tactics have you seen most often in your life? And what was the moment that it occurred when you realized it was an area of manipulation? When grandma asked you to come help find the remote when it was right in front of her? When, when your girlfriend tell you that, she's going to be lonely while she's waiting on you to come back from a guy's night out. What was it? Share your story. It can be incredibly validating for others who are going through the exact same thing. You have the right to your own peace, and you have to proactively put forth your best efforts to improve your life so that you are satisfied with yourself. So, as we walk out of the show today, I want to make sure that y'all remember we're walking into 2026, and I've been telling y'all all year whatever you were doing in 2024 that wasn't working, you should have stopped doing it already. You should have started doing something different in 2025. And if you haven't, it's time to recognize the things that wasn't working last year, you're not going to continue doing next year. The stuff that wasn't working for you this year, you're not going to continue doing it next year. Start finding a new way. This isn't a New Year's resolution. This is a 20-year plan of life changing behavior. You have to proactively put forth the effort that you need for your own success. Now, I tell y'all this every night that you can control a large majority of your life, and through the majority of your life that you can control, you make the changes for the things that you are not satisfied with. And then the things that you cannot control, you navigate around that. With that being said, I want to say thank you guys for coming to this and that. But before I walk out, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And with that, I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.